Hello and welcome back to the Growing Revolution. I'm Eric with SmartPot Fabric Planners, and this week our guest is Trevor Johnson with Alldredge Gardens in Midland, Texas. And we wanted to get him on to talk about his business, gardening in Texas, and of course, SmartPots. So, Trevor, welcome to the podcast.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Eric.
Yeah, thanks for making the time. So, can you explain the beginnings of Aldridge Gardens and, maybe to where you guys currently are now? Has it always been a family business?
Yeah, so Aldridge Gardens was, I believe, founded in 1987 by a man named David Aldridge, and he had a landscape maintenance company, and then he kind of wanted to start a nursery, and he split off from that company, which actually still exists to this day. He started Aldridge, and it was just this old little ranch house that pier and beam practically falling down, falling apart, and just bought up a ton of acreage. And the man he was a pretty ambitious businessman and a big just big business mind. I mean, he wasn't afraid to take any risk, and yeah, I mean, through the years, we sit on I think 100 acres now, and but we've got a lot of different aspects of the company. We've got a retail garden center where we sell, the normal things you would see in a retail garden center, pesticides, chemicals, hard goods, bad goods,
Smart
pottery,
pots.
and smart pots. And we also but we do we have a high end gift store, and we do like high end patio furniture. And we have also in our greenhouse, we have a restaurant, a cafe, which is really busy pretty much every day the whole year, which is great because most garden centers don't always have a full parking lot in certain parts of the year, but we always have a full parking lot thanks to that. And so, and then outside of that, we have a growing operation, which is what I do. And so we grow for pretty much for our own needs. We don't wholesale or anything. Um, and then we do residential maintenance and landscape, commercial maintenance, landscape, uh, irrigation, repair, installs. We've got an arborist on staff, so we do a lot of tree care. Um, yeah, so
One stop shop.
we're kind of a one-stop shop. That's the idea. So,
Nice, nice. I
and we
was on your
also own
website and
we
oh yeah, sorry. I was on your website and I noticed that it said you guys have a retail location and then a studio location. What's the difference between those two locations there?
Yeah, so I was going to mention the studio is actually owned by us. It operates separately, but it's actually an interior decorating and also like furniture. So we have interior decorators that are on staff there, and then we also sell high end furniture I can't afford. So, but more for the interior of your home. So the idea is not only can we help you with the exterior of your home, we can also help you with the interior of your home. So it's
Nice.
kind of a true one stop shop. So yeah.
Yeah, no kidding. Anything you need to sit down on, you guys are covered indoors and out. Yeah, and that's really cool that you guys have a cafe on site too, because I've noticed that a lot of really popular garden centers around the country will have some sort of dining option, on site or like right next door. So how did that all come about? And, what can you say about how that's done for your business?
Yeah. So I want to say in like the early to mid 2000s, we had the original ranch house burned down, had like electrical fire. And so of course David Aldridge was like, "Hey, I'm not just going to build another small store. I'm going to build this massive, complex." And he built this huge building. And then at that point, we had our retail greenhouse, but it was half the size. So he built onto the back half of it. and basically doubled the size of it. And I think it initially started off as like a concessions type idea, like, hey, we'll have like waters and sodas, and maybe we'll sell like popcorn for kids or something. And
Yeah,
he
you don't
just
need a
took it
food
a whole,
service license for that. Nice and easy.
yeah, yeah, he took it a whole another route and was like, no, I want to have this fine dining restaurant. And he really liked to he was really into that. Anytime we went out of town, he was all about the fine dining experience. And he wanted this, he had this vision, and he, it was kind of half indoors, half outdoor. Well, I say outdoors. It's in the greenhouse, but you don't feel like you're in a greenhouse. It's, we've got a huge koi pond and waterfalls, and of course now the vegetation is, and we're having to chop the trees halfway, half off every year because they're poking through the plastic on the roof. But so you kind of, it's like an oasis in the desert. I mean, that's really what it is. And it's taken a lot of years to kind of fine tune it to make it work. Uh, for a little while, it worked as just like a nighttime thing, open at nighttime, fancy steaks, valet parking, the works. But as Midland grew and expanded and got a lot more of those type of restaurants, we kind of started, had to find a new direction. And through the years, it's kind of worked out to now it's just kind of a cafe and sandwiches and a few specialty items. And, they'll do a steak night every once in a while, but through the growing season, they'll do uh, live music on Thursday nights, and they usually change the menu up a little bit on those nights just to kind of do something different. So, but yeah,
Yeah, yeah, I saw that you
it's
guys have like specials and stuff to draw folks in.
yeah, just kind of do something different. Yeah, and we've been featured on a lot of different, been some cooking shows in the state of Texas that have come out and filmed, and um, yeah, it's been honestly, like I said, it's taken a lot of years to get it to where it is, but it works now. So and so yeah, so
Well, I think most restaurants don't even make it like 3 or 5 years. So if you guys are past that, time frame, I would call it a successful business for sure. Um,
yeah, yeah. I don't know
Trevor, I
how
saw
anyone
that you
makes
guys,
money in that industry.
yeah, seriously. I saw that you guys do a market at the gardens event. Can you explain what that is, and do you have any other events or classes or ways that you're bringing customers in, like besides the restaurant and the garden itself?
Yeah, so the market at the garden uh, initially started kind of like a farmer's market. We didn't When we first started that, there wasn't a lot of that going on in Midland, and so we did have kind of like produce and just all kinds of people, just small businesses that people run out of their homes, but it gives them a chance to, hey, it's cheap. We're not going to charge you a lot. You just come out, you have a spot. I think they pay, I don't know what they pay. It's not much. And, you know, they can, we'll promote it and we'll get a bunch of people out here. And it's kind of almost like a trade days in a way. And as the years have gone on, it's kind of, there's less produce now because there's more of that going on in other parts of the town. But and we do it the first Saturday of every month. And obviously in the wintertime we take a few months off. But yeah, it's really, and we always have. It's interesting. We have huge traffic on those days, but we don't necessarily have more sales on our end, which is fine. I think it's, a lot of people are just coming to support those small businesses that are they're setting up, and which is great. We're all about that, and so but it gives us exposure, and we still have, we like the traffic flow, and just to have people out here all the time seeing things and just talking. It's weird when there are a lot of people in Midland that don't know about Alldredge Gardens, which is very strange. Um, but then we get a lot of new people in town because of the oil and gas industry, and so. But it just gives people something to do on a Saturday. There's not a lot to do in Midland, so you know, just if we can add something for people to, get out of their homes and, you know, get out in the outdoors, and who doesn't want to walk around in a garden center, on a Saturday. So
Yeah, and if customers aren't necessarily buying something from you on that Saturday, they're getting exposed to you guys, and hopefully they're coming back at a later date to, pick up some bushes, containers, soil, all that good stuff. Nice.
smart
So
pods. Yeah.
yeah, and obviously. So speaking of, great segue there. You were actually working for High Caliper Growing for a while, mainly with our tree customers. How did we get you on the team, and what brought you back to Alldredge Gardens?
Yeah. So that's a interesting story. So Jeff, who's for those listening, that's the COO of High Caliper, and I've known Jeff for a lot of years, for when he worked at another company, and um, he actually had this fascination with West Texas, and he came out, and we don't ever really get vendors don't come to West Texas. It's
It's
just we're out
isolated.
here. There's not a lot. Yeah, we're very isolated, and and it's expensive. Like hotel rates are crazy out here, and so a lot of people just don't. They just it's not worth it to them. And but Jeff made it a point to come down here, and he spent like a weekend with us, and he wanted to eat at some Mexican food restaurant he had heard of. Um, uh, from some guy in Houston. It's just we have really good Mexican food in Midland, and we anyway. So I think we ate there twice while he was here. He liked it so much he wanted to go back. But anyways, we developed this relationship, and then obviously when he moved on over to High Caliper, we still would run into him at trade shows and talk to him, and so I was actually at a trade show. I believe it was a BWI show, and it was because it was a buying show, and High Caliper's there. We went over there to just do our normal order that we normally do for the retail side of the business, and Jeff had mentioned it a few times about containers, and I was kind of in a pinch, and I was looking for containers because of the COVID supply chain issues. And anyways, to sum that up, he helped me out, but then he was like, "Hey, if you," he kind of put a bug in my head. I think he did it intentionally, but he was like, "Hey, if you know anybody looking for, a job and interested in like a
That's how
sales
I got
position."
hired. Is the
Yeah, he
exact
was,
same thing.
and I was like, "Oh, okay." And I was thinking about it later. I'm like, why in the world did he ask me that? That was so random. I'm like, oh, he wants me to reach out. So I, you know, obviously emailed him and kind of went from there. And at the time I was kind of in a weird place. Um, I don't know, it just felt like I needed something. I felt like it was a unique opportunity, and I didn't want to miss out on it. And I felt like it was something I just needed to try and do. And I really enjoyed it. And I loved working at High Caliper. It was great. Kurt Rig, he's the president owner of Smart Pods. He's such a great guy, and still talk to him from time to time. And just everyone there. I mean, you and Dustin, and just I had a great relationship with a lot of people, and it was a great company. But I'm sitting there talking to growers every day, and I'm just like, man,
Man, I
like,
wish I was growing something.
yeah, I wish I was growing something. And yeah, I'm just, at the end of the day, I was just like, I'm a nurseryman, true and true. Like I belong on site in a greenhouse. I just, you know, I like getting my hands dirty a little bit. And I mean, heck, I've been out moving plants this morning. I was trying not to break out a sweat, but but I love getting out of the office and kind of just being in the nursery. And so I missed that part of it, and it really kind of, I felt like it was like, I don't want to wait too long. maybe this feeling would pass, but I don't want to wait too long because I didn't want Aldridge to replace me. And so, it worked out. I came back and it was cool. We changed some of the things that I think I was unpleasant with when I left. We hashed it out, and I'm in a good place now, so I'm happy. So
Nice, nice. Well, yeah, we're happy if you're happy, and we definitely appreciate you, being an advocate for us. Definitely. And I have to mention High Caliper is probably it is the best company that I've ever worked for. So, um,
agreed. It's great.
yeah,
It's a great
yeah,
company.
yeah. It's all about the people, and when you have great people, at the top like Kurt and Jeff, they tend to hire great people underneath them. Hopefully, I'm living up to that. But so kind of getting into smart pots again. How have smart pots done as a retail product for you guys, and for your own container growing purposes? What are people more into, like the raised beds out there, smart pot wise, or what are people doing?
Yeah, it's the last few years have been interesting. I've, you know, Obviously in 2020 and kind of into 21, we had a lot of gardeners. And so, the raised bed thing and smart pots in general did really well for us. But the last few years, they're selling, and maybe it could be our fault. We're just not maybe displaying them well. We don't have I keep thinking we've got to have a better spot for them. We tend to just stick them out there by the vegetables, but the problem is they're out in the greenhouse, the labels fade, and that's all it takes is a faded label. It doesn't matter what the product is. Customers kind of just start to look, they're kind of like, there's something wrong with that, or they've had that a while, or something. And so, but one thing we've had really good success with, I think, is the no cocoa, the hanging basket liners. That's been really big for us, and those have kind of we sold a lot more of those this past year, than we have ever before, and part of that could be because of a little bit of shortages from cocoa liner, but a lot of it I think just people like the look, and I don't know about you, but I get tired of birds running off with my cocoa liner, you know, and so
Yeah, after about a year, those things are looking pretty haggard.
yeah, and so for me, it's just been I see some growth there, and and yeah, and we've sold more, I think, just normal smart pot containers and not so much the raised beds than we ever have in recent years. And a lot of that, it has to do with us growing more of our plants in smart pots. And so people are starting to see them, and not everyone asks about them, but you get, your true gardener will be like, hey, what's up with this pot? And why are these plants in them? And then you start to explain it, and then you tell them, hey, it's great for vegetables or tomatoes, or hey, I grow my, I'm growing my peppers in them at home, and my tomato plants, and so they'll start to buy them and do that. So yeah, I think overall we've seen some things like the raised beds kind of drop off, but we've seen some things like the hanging basket liners and the just pots in general kind of come up a little bit. So
Yeah, I've been seeing that as a sales guy. The no cocoa liners have definitely been doing really well, which they've been around for like at least 3 or 4 years. So it's just kind of interesting how things like go popularity wise. So no rhyme or reason to it, maybe. But so I had kind of one last maybe fun question for you. If you weren't working at Alldredge Gardens or High Caliper Growing, what could you see yourself doing, like in another line of work in another lifetime?
oh, that's a interesting. That's a fun, interesting question. I don't know. I'm such a big horticulture ambassador. Um, yeah. So and I have one right here. I'm not going to press it because it's a very annoying. But I have this goat that screams, and I have this little obsession with goats. I love goats, and I think it'd be really fun to have like a goat farm where I can rent out goats for goat yoga and also goat scaping, which is a thing apparently in some parts of the country. Not so much here, but I don't know. I think that'd be fun and
Because
different.
goats
I
will eat
think
just
goats are
about
funny.
anything, and you just tie them down, and they'll just kind of clear out the all the vegetation in that circumference, right?
Yeah, no, I've hinted at this a few times to our general manager that hey, we need to get some goats because we've got so much acreage. If we could just fence them in, they'll eat up everything. Maybe even the trash that blows in. That would be cool too. But yeah, no,
They'll
I
eat
mean,
tin cans, I've heard.
yeah, no, they will. And so I don't know. Maybe that's something I would do in another life, and maybe there's still time in this life. I don't know. Um,
Well, I have to say, Trevor, I was not expecting to hear your answer involve goats at all, but I'm glad it did.
well, I'm just a good old West Texas farm boy, right? So I guess it has to stay somewhat in ag.
It makes total sense. Um, Trevor, that was all the questions that I had for you. How can people find you or Aldridge Gardens online and social media?
Yeah, so we're in the works of updating our website. Maybe someday that'll actually go live, the new version of it. But yeah, so it's Aldridge Gardens, I believe.com. And then, but the biggest way to get out to us is social media, which we all know nowadays. So we're on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, uh, LinkedIn, I'm pretty sure. And then I think there's another one out there, but oh, well, Twitter or X, whatever it's called these days. So we're kind of on all the main ones. And we've kind of upped our game a little bit on the social media world, just trying to be fun and different and, doing a lot of videos. I think we had a video go viral. We had like 1 million views. So that was pretty cool.
Awesome.
On Instagram. So that was fun. So not that that brought any more sales in the door, but there's not a million people in a Midland, but hey, it's fun. So,
Awesome.
but yeah, that's
Awesome.
probably the best way to get a hold of us.
Nice. Well, Trevor, I haven't seen you in person in a while, but it's really good to see you, over the internet. So we definitely appreciate you guys out there in Midland repping Smart Pots and your advocacy over the years. So thank you very much for your time today.
Yeah, yeah. Thanks for having me. Yeah, I mean, I have really grown to love smart. I mean, I'll say this. I know you're done with your questions, but just for the listeners out there, like if you're not using smart pods, you need to start because it doesn't cease to amaze me. I mean, every time I pull one of those pots off, just looking at that root system, just literally, and it just every time I'm like, wow, it's crazy. And so we not only originally just grew geraniums in it, and we saw some pretty unique benefits there, but we're doing, I don't know, you can see this tropical plant here. I've got we're doing tropicals in them, and we're doing trees, and so I mean it's been a game changer for us, especially in an environment where everything works against you when it comes to plants. Um, it's been a big difference maker on a lot of the crops that we've grown in it. So
Yeah.
just want to throw that out there. So
Well, we're going to turn that into a little commercial. So thank you for that testimonial. And we're going to blast that all over the internet. No, definitely, we appreciate those kind words because coming from a nurseryman, that means a lot. So definitely appreciate your advocacy for us.
yeah, no problem. Anytime.
Well, cool. I'll let you get back to moving plants around, and we'll talk to you soon.
All right. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you.